Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Behind the Group podcast. I am DJ Keo.
And I am Basil Barrington, and we are back with another film review. Today we are going to review the film it's an Amazon original actually, Memory. And yeah, man, IMDb gave it a 5.7. I think the other interesting thing about this movie is they were going back and forth from El Paso, Texas to Mexico. But dude, this joint was not filmed in North America. This
Where
joint
they
was
film it?
filmed. They filmed it in. Wait a minute. Let me go here. Where is it? It was filmed in Bulgaria.
Okay.
Because I kept looking and I was like, that doesn't look like El Paso at all.
Yeah, I was
right?
like, that's not. You're right. I had the vibe that doesn't look like Texas.
That doesn't look
I didn't
like
see anything, and you know that's probably why they had like this close streets. Like even where
exactly.
that his shop where he had the
bakery
food thing, the bakery. I'm like, that doesn't feel like
doesn't
Texas
look like Texas,
at all.
y'all. That didn't look like Texas at all.
That looked like an alley in El Paso. It didn't feel like Texas at all.
No.
Just something was off. I couldn't put my finger on it. So this explains a lot, actually.
This film, the budget for this film was $30 million, right? I mean, you would just have to think that, Guy Pearce and Liam got like a nice chunk of money from that, right?
Yeah, well, they're the biggest actors in this movie. And Ray Stevenson, he's famous, but I don't think he's that big.
Right.
Guy Pearce, which I was thinking about when I was watching this. I was like, oh, that's Guy Pearce. Have you seen Memento?
No, I have not.
That is the first movie from what's that director? Damn, I forgot the director's name. Christopher Nolan. That was one of his first movies, and this it kind of put him on the map. And it involves a person losing their memory. Guy Pearce's character has no short-term memory, so he has to tattoo stuff on his body, and he's basically solving a murder, but he can't remember what happened to him, and so he's like going through life
pulling
trying
his shirt up, pulling his sleeves up.
So he can only remember he can remember old things, but anything that happened during the day he can't remember. But the cool thing about the movie was that it was told from the end to the beginning. It was told backwards and forwards at the same time. Hey, you know what? We should review Memento for next week because of this. Like it's worthy movie to watch.
Okay,
but
Memento.
I only bring it up because this Liam Neeson's character has memory loss. Yeah. And the first thing I saw Guy Pearce, I was like, oh, it's Memento. Like that's basically what it is. So I like the premise. I thought this was a really interesting premise because, we were talking this offline. Like being a hitman, you need to remember things. You need to know who's a good guy, who's a bad guy. I worked with you before. Is this person mad at me because I shot up his house? Like you need to know all this stuff. And so this guy has, he's got dementia. That's a crazy thing to happen to somebody as a hitman.
But I will say this about this movie: a couple things. One, it kind of felt like a like just a made-for-TV movie. It kind of felt that way,
Yeah, it had the vibe of.
It had the vibe of like a made-for-TV film, right?
It had that energy. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, so I was just like, oh, this sounds like it feels a little weird,
You know why? Because the made-for-TV movies would have had like a couple more passes with the script. And the studio would be like, we need to change this. We need this other actor in here. They would have done something and gave it that little extra polish. But Amazon's like, just turn it in, man. Whatever. We need content. Let's just
$30 million. Here you go.
Go.
The other thing about this movie is this, right? Which made it not so interesting, right? When you have films where there's an assassin, right? Generally, the assassin may go rogue, right? You've seen films like that before where the assassin goes rogue. You've also seen films where the assassin does not kill kids.
Yeah.
You've seen movies like that, right? So this is this is not like different. This is not like super interesting because we've seen movies like this before. A lot of hitmen, a lot of cleanup people, a lot of assassons, they don't do kids, and that's just the way it is. That's what this was about.
They added the moral thing.
Right. They added the, just him losing his memory and not being able to like remember things and do his job as an assassin. That was kind of interesting. That sort of plot. you know.
That premise was that made it for me. I was interested in the story because of the
Yeah.
premise. But
Mm-hmm.
I will say this though, like Liam Neeson's character wasn't that likable. Like I wasn't rooting for him. He was just in the story. Like when he decided to be like, I'm not gonna shoot this person. I was like, I'm indifferent. Like they
Yeah.
didn't make him like having a brother that didn't make him more likable. Like just in general, he was just there in the story, and I think that kind of hurt because, like for something like that, you have to care about this person, and I didn't really feel much for his character, even though I like Liam, I do like him a lot, but I did not feel anything for his character at all. I felt more to Guy Pearce's Vincent than to Liam Neeson's character at
Yeah,
all.
he Guy Pearce, he his role was his character was pretty slick. I mean, it was just like, I mean,
Yeah, because
the other thing
you
is like,
care.
right, the it was all about who killed this kid in the
Mhm.
memory loss, right? So it was just, that was a nice sort of human touch to it. It's just like you have not only
Yeah.
an assassin, but an FBI agent or FBI agents looking for, the
Mhm.
person who killed a kid. So that was sort of
Yeah.
compelling right there. But other than that, I'm not quite sure. Again, like I said, it felt like a
Yeah.
TV show, just like something that you can watch like on a Friday night on CBS at
Yeah.
like 9 o'clock, with
And
commercials.
the bad guys weren't good either. There was
No.
a poor choice of bad people.
Yeah.
Because what's the name? Monica Pacello, whatever her name is? Like she's sexy. She's not menacing. Like I was like, oh my
No.
god, she's gonna get this put a hit. I was like, all
Yeah, she
right.
needs to be in a different film,
Right?
For real.
She's
Not
always
this
been
sort of
sexy.
film.
I've always thought she's sexy, but I never looking at her, I was like, oh, this is a bloodthirsty, ruthless person doing hits on people and little kids. I
No.
didn't feel that at all. I was
No.
like, this is
It's
a lady.
yeah.
She's a business suit at work. Like
Yeah. And again, like we said, we touched on earlier, like this joint wasn't even shot in like El Paso or Mexico.
yeah.
It just wasn't.
I I think the casting for her to be the villainous person was bad. I know I want to put her in the film, but like it was a bad choice.
No, it's probably
And
nepotism. Something like that. Just like, oh yeah,
dude,
that's
I
my
like her
niece.
though.
Hmm.
Dude, I loved her in the Matrix. I've like a bunch of movies I've seen her in. I like her a lot, but like this was not a good like the how dark the story was because the story is about trafficking and kids and all this other stuff. Like it's a dark story,
Yeah.
and I just did. It wasn't menacing. Like you need a bad person, like somebody like a I don't know, like somebody on a level where you're like, oh, holy crap, this dude's pure evil. I can't wait what happens to him or whatever. Like that's what you needed, and
And
that was
as
just
an
it's different.
And as an assassin, he wasn't like straight Swiss cheesing people throughout the whole joint. I mean, I know most of it was like, okay, half of it was like, okay, now I don't have a memory or I'm losing my memory, right?
Yeah, he
So,
looked run down. That's the end of his line, assassin.
yeah.
Like
Now,
he's looked better in movies. Like I don't know what they're doing with him.
yeah, and he got killed at the towards the end of the movie. I think that was the only I've only seen him be killed in 2 movies. This one and Star Wars.
Yeah, I was gonna say Star Wars.
That's it.
I don't. I gotta think about it. I don't because usually he's like the star or whatever. A lot of
Yeah.
the action movies, he's a star.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think you're right. Like no, he died in there. He did this movie about Ireland back in the day with man, I can't remember what it
I mean,
is.
as he was it like he
As a
wasn't
star, as a
yeah,
lead. Yeah,
but was
yeah.
he
No, he was
typecast
different.
as a person who just goes in and like like he's kind
No,
of
no,
typecast now right now.
yeah, he's typecast today, but back then he was
Hmm.
like a method actor. He was just like,
Yeah,
we need a good bad guy here, or we need a good actor behind the scenes, whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know, man. This, like I said, what do you think about how the film was shot? It looked like it was shot like just digital.
yeah, it was straight. It was shot straightforward. Like
Yeah,
it was okay. It wasn't dynamic. It wasn't shot like to be art or whatever. It was just like just
yeah.
straightforward action
Which
movie.
is why I thought that it sort of feels like a TV show because it just was shot
Mhm.
very small, very clean.
Yeah, yeah.
Almost like
It was straightforward. Like
it was
nothing
straightforward.
dynamic about it. Yeah,
We were talking about when we reviewed Moonhaven, we kept saying it feels like a TV show, just how it was
yeah,
shot.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
how this is. This movie, it felt like a TV show. It was just shot in a very basic way.
Yeah, but like TV shows are like that because the camera is just set on a tripod or
Yeah.
whatever, And it's like straight ahead, do the scene. All right, next scene, straight ahead, do the scene. Like we're not doing anything dramatic. We're not doing angles or anything. Like, just get to it. And you only really get that on TV shows when it's a film director does something like a David Fincher or something like that. He comes in and does a show. They like he'll film it in a way that makes it look like it's higher than it was, or like just more production value. But like it's not so much how it was filmed. It's just a vibe that you get. I don't know how I explain it, but it's just a vibe.
These two films that we checked out this week, which was The Takeover and also Memory, we gave the Memory, we gave The Takeover a 1. That's what the rating we gave. I don't know what we're going to rate this one, but I've been just watching a show called, animated show called, anime called Exception, right? And this show, this TV series on Netflix, it blows both of these away. And it has to do with technology, terraforming, and 3D printing, believe it or not. It's kind of sick, and I'm just like, and that's what I always say to you, Keo. I'm like, you have so much more creativity, so much more creative rope when you create these things in animation. I know they use a little CGI and they're able to do something. I know that Disney has the Volt or the Volume, whatever that joint is called, and they can add their CGI and everything like that. But Kenobi could have been like an animated show. Boba Fett could have been an animated show. It would have been better. You didn't have like geriatrics people just running all around and whatnot. So
do you think like this movie could have been better if it was shot as anime? Like they would have done more stuff?
I think that I'm not quite sure about this, but I am just a little sort of disappointed with this film with Liam and also Guy Pearce. I mean, these are rock stars, right?
Yeah, they're solid actors.
These guys are rock stars.
The premise for this is kind of like Sicario. Like, because you're dealing with the border.
The first one or the second one?
The first one. That's a terrible second one.
The second one was terrible, wasn't it?
Oh, it was awful. I was so mad. I went through popcorn on the ground in the theater. I was so mad. I couldn't believe it.
I wanted to see that too, but I waited until it got on television. And I'm like, I saw it like on cable, and I was like, this is a waste.
Blemish the name of the first movie. You're like,
it was a waste show. It was a waste, total waste.
But the point is though, like, it's the same concept, but like the storyline for this movie is dark as hell.
It's very dark.
It's real dark. But I didn't feel it was dark. And when you watch Sicario, like, that storyline is dark, and you feel like the emotions from like what the story is about. But I didn't get that watching this movie. I can't put my finger on why.
I'm not quite sure like how this film was really conceived, because it was about like the film is called Memory. And they spoke about that. I thought that was the dark part, also like just the child pornography and all that stuff, right? Yeah.
That's also an interesting premise that you could go into deeper, but like it was they scratched the surface of both of those topics. Like, right. Can't really go there.
But you could have done this though, right? And see, this is what I'm talking about when you have these concepts that are sort of interesting, and then you just have people in a room taking it to another direction, right? If you had this film Memory, if he was like a straight up assassin like he was, right? And, it wasn't about like people trying to find the killer of this kid. It was just like an assassin who was losing his memory, and maybe he was shooting the wrong people, this, that, or the other. This movie could have been completely about that, because that's what I thought it was about.
Point. Yeah, so did I. I thought that, he was going to have trouble completing missions because he's starting to lose his memory.
Right, and I think they
didn't touch that at all.
I think they leaned in with this girl because they didn't want to go too hard on the Alzheimer's stuff, right? Just like, okay, well, we don't want to talk about that too much, right? And it's just like
you replaced that with trafficking, which is the worst topic.
and so you have this disease, right?
Yeah.
And an assassin. That is a really great script.
That's a compelling story dealing with just the assassin and the FBI chasing him.
That's it.
That's all the story had to be about. But like made it about the real estate developer and then her son, and then it was all this other stuff. Like it should have been just about it was Alex and Vincent like the cat and mouse thing of them trying to catch each other,
Yep.
and the psychological thing of losing his memory. That
Right.
the movie would have excelled and been a better experience if it just focused on that alone and without
Right.
the other stuff.
Let's not forget his brother also has dealing
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
same thing, right? So it's just like, okay, so that was the movie. That was the interesting part. You have this like weird, this crazy disease.
Mhm.
You're losing your memory and you're an assassin, right?
Yeah,
Now
like,
again,
okay, a
go ahead.
good perfect example of this is when, when he was in the hotel with that girl and he thought he killed the girl.
Right.
Like, that's the perfect, like, build on that. That's a
Yeah.
great thing. Like, he's starting to lose his memory and
Yeah.
he's not sure what reality is. Like, that's a great premise for a movie about this stuff.
Right. We're talking
And
about we're talking about a movie, and and the reason why I say that first is because forget the girl. I'm sorry, just forget the girl.
yeah,
She's not a great sort of segue or part of the movie. They should have led with assassin losing his memory. That's it.
yeah, but you could have told that story, but just move on from there and not make it about that. It should have been
Right.
like, okay, this thing happened. Like
Mhm.
that whole thing in the hotel when he thought he killed her. I was like, okay, well, this is going somewhere, and they just forget about that. He
That's
didn't lose
it.
his memory anymore after the movie was done until he couldn't remember where the USB drive was. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
this is
So
kind of like
the way it ended, right, is just like, and again, this person is an older person. He's losing his
mhm.
memory. Um, and how it should have ended was, he got shot and killed like he did, right? And that should have been
Yeah.
it. That should have been
It
it.
should have been like, honestly, he should have been killed on the job. I'm sorry, like that
Yeah.
would have made more sense.
Something he should have been killed somehow, and that would have been it. And then go back and like make sure you
Mhm.
Swiss cheese old girl like the Italian girl who
Yeah,
won, who
you gotta get your revenge, and like you need to
yeah,
do that. Like you can't have
right.
somebody else do that for you. That's
Or
the like, yeah.
the other thing is like with this disease, sometimes people do things to themselves, jump off a bridge,
Mhm.
they don't want to deal with this anymore. It could have been
Yeah,
so much, it could have been so interesting if they had just
yeah.
taken a specific lane from this script and like,
Mhm,
built upon that, but they did not, which
mhm.
kind of made the film like a 5.7, 5.6, I
Yeah, it
mean,
made it
yeah,
average because the movie had no heart, and I
none.
think that's the problem. It was a by the numbers movie that was shot by the numbers,
Yep.
with the actors doing by the numbers acting, and the directors doing by the numbers. Like everything was just by the numbers. It wasn't. I think that and there's too much storyline in there. There's too many actors. Like it should have been more. Like you just tighten it up,
Yeah.
get rid of some of these people, the extra people on the side. Like they went to the yacht party. Like I didn't need to see that. Like that's a waste
Why?
of time. Like,
Why?
that's dumb. You
You
walking
know?
around looking. You guys look like feds. Like the whole time you were walking on the boat, like everyone like feds. That's what should have happened. Pointing at you like you're feds. Like it was ridiculous. You walking around with, or like this on your ear, like, yeah, I think he's over by like.
Yeah.
That was just silly.
It's just
Like, come
like,
on,
oh,
man.
you're drinking on the job. Just like, are we really working? Just like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, just cut that out. Cut that complete thing out. Because he
Yeah.
tried to make it cool, like like they met up at the shipyard or whatever, and he's getting back to his car, and like they're talking it out. Like that wasn't. There's no suspense there. You
No.
know what? The suspenseful thing, the cat and mouse thing, is Heat. When Robert De Niro met Al Pacino in the diner, and they're
Yep.
just talking about like their
Hmm.
what their life was like and what's going to happen when they see each other again. That's suspense.
Yeah.
That's like at any moment, Robert De Niro just shoot up this whole diner and it's all
Yep.
over. Like at
That's
any
it.
moment, you had no idea what he was thinking, what he was capable of doing.
Yeah.
If gonna Al Pacino was gonna let him leave, like that was suspense. Like I wasn't even worried like I was gonna let Liam Neeson's character get back in the car. I wasn't even worried about that. Like it was like there was no. I know what they're trying to do, but it wasn't. It didn't feel that right.
Yeah. I
And
think,
I don't know.
yeah, I think, let's wrap this up, but I'm going to say this really quickly, right? I think
Mhm,
that studios, Hollywood, streaming services, man, they have to like
mhm.
rethink like, what they put out there because there is just so much garbage on these streaming services now.
Yeah, there is. This is a pile
I
of
mean,
stuff.
Netflix went like, reality TV. I mean, on Amazon, you have all of these foreign films with like 2.5 stars, 3 stars. It's just like, what are we
Yeah,
doing here? I mean,
they
you're just
want
throwing stuff
content.
on a wall. Yeah, it's just like, what's
Yeah,
going on? And then the really good stuff, you don't want to create second seasons for it or like sequels or anything like that.
You're right. That's a huge problem for the streaming services because they need content and they're trying to reach everybody rather than just focusing on. Because
Yeah,
I get it, like it's a
but
corporation; they want to make
they're
money.
trying
I
to do
get
it in a
that.
cheap way too. I mean,
Yeah,
like the
they're just
takeover
throwing
was like
stuff.
$250,000. This movie Memory was $30 million. Come on.
They dumped a bunch of money on the table and said, "Make me a bunch of stuff," and this is what the result is. Because
Yeah,
like when Netflix started making like film and stuff and TV shows, the quality was high for
it was
TV.
high
Because
quality, dude.
Fincher was directing the first show of House of Cards,
Yeah,
and that thing people would have paid to watch that in a movie theater.
all day,
Like that's how good it was, and how it was
all
shot,
day.
and the quality, and the actors. See what you want to say with Kevin Spacey, but like, the actors were high quality. The
Yep.
script was high quality. Everything about it was high quality,
Yeah,
and
it's
it
garbage
showed.
now.
Well,
It's
like
complete
now, the
garbage now.
quality just dropped down in the toilet,
Yeah,
and you're just getting stuff, a
you
pile of
know,
stuff. And it's
DC,
very
Marvel is doing a
rare.
lot of animated stuff now, and Disney, man, they're throwing stuff on the wall. They're just doing like, excuse me, these new animated series that don't talk about
Mhm.
anything. They're just like, what if, Jedi, when
They,
they were kids,
they
this, that, and the other. I'm
they're
like,
just
what?
dumping
What's that
stuff in
all
a
about?
wall.
Yeah,
Like
it's
this is your
garbage, dude.
content. You want to watch it? No, all
Yeah,
right. They
it's
just don't
crazy.
throw it against the
They
wall.
they
Like
have to,
I don't watch it.
basically say, okay, these, our customers are paying like $9.99, $14.99. We got to
Mhm.
give them something.
Yeah. That's what it is. We need content. That's it. That's all they're chasing for. Just content.
That's it. So what are you going to rate Memory, an Amazon original?
I wanted to like this movie so bad. Like I was like, I like Liam Neeson. Like he's a
Hmm.
badass character. I loved him in Taken, every Star Wars, everything. Like I like his character. He's a great actor. And I like Guy Pearce too because of Memento. But like I was just like 4-ish, 5.
Really?
I didn't hate it. I
Hmm.
didn't like it. That's the problem more so. I was just like, this is a thing I'm watching. I was like excited, like what's gonna happen next? I was like, stuff is happening on TV.
Yeah.
I didn't really feel it.
I
So
am
yeah,
going to
that's my
give
take.
I am going to give Memory a 3.5
Wow. Okay.
because again, like I said, they did not take the story and do what they should have done with it. I mean, we didn't need to know about, the
Mhm.
kid, right? We understand. I mean, even in a professional, I mean, if you've watched that, he
Yeah, I
didn't
know.
he didn't
I know.
kill kids either.
Leon. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's just like I get that, right? But also
Mhm.
this is a movie you've seen before. This is a movie that has been produced before. There is nothing
Yeah, a bunch of
interesting
them.
about
Yeah.
this movie. The only thing that they should have done was taken the memory loss and him being an assassin,
They
and that's
they
the
need to
story.
lean into the memory thing. You're right, because like the
Exactly.
assassin movie that decides I'm not gonna do this anymore, I'm gonna retire, that's been done a million times.
That's been done a million
And
times.
the memory thing for the assassin, that's the first time I've seen something like that.
This is the
And it
first.
feels like a waste because you had really good actors
Yeah,
available to you for this movie.
this was a
And
waste.
you had an okay budget too. So like
Yeah.
just I don't know why this happened. I don't
I
know.
gave I gave it a 3.5 because I really like Liam and I really like Guy Pearce, and that's why I gave it a 3.5. If these two people weren't in this movie, I would have given it a 1.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
That's absolutely fair. I don't disagree with that.
yeah. Well, we like I said, we took 2 L's. So it's a
Ah,
part of the
it is what
game.
it
Yeah. Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Behind the Groove podcast. I am Basil Barrington.
I am DJ Keo.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And until next time, peace.
All right.